Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. In this one I'll be showing you how to create this cool looking Euro 2024 inspired artwork. Now for this we'll be using those four assets there, as well as an extra asset which will be overlay. So we're dragging in the trophy just like this, extending it to the corners. Now the reason that the trophy has those white patches on is because this design, I photoshopped the trophy into like a stadium, so that's the only reason it's like this, but you won't be able to see that anyway. We're then just going over and getting a gradient that we want to then style around German colors. So that will be black, red, yellow at the bottom, just like this. And then we will want to, you're going to want to change your angle as well, so the black is in that corner. And then you can also, if you want more black, just reduce the red like that. Drag the black a bit further down, about there's okay. And then you want to change your blending mode to color, just like that. And you want to change your opacity down, just like that. Just so it's very light, but you can still tell it's got the German sort of flag over the top. So we're then just going to select those both, group them into a smart object, and then this is where we're going to go into our different things. So we're going to start off by adding sponge. Just copy those exact same numbers there. There we go. We're then going to go into filter gallery again, and then we're going to add palette knife and just use those numbers there. Click OK. Make sure these two are separate, so you should have two filters in this bottom corner now. First one being the sponge, the second one being the palette knife. As we're going to go into those separately, and so just click this little button on the side, it'll bring up this little panel. You want to just change your opacity down to something more along the lines of sort of 60, around there, 50, 60. And then you want to go into your next one. Wait for it to load. There we go. And change your thing to screen, which will brighten it up instantly, your mode to screen. And then your opacity is going to be down in the sort of 60 to 70 range. Then going to go into filter, stylize, and find edges. It should make it look just like this. And then you want to go into that little side panel again on this one. You want to change your mode to multiply, and you want to change your opacity down. And that should basically, when we do the watermark, that'll basically just make it look cleaner. So we're now just going to blur and surface blur, and you just want to play around with the blur for different images. If you're using different images, it will obviously vary, but for this image we're going to sort of hover between the 0 and sort of 50-ish range. Keep it fairly low, seeing what works best. Let's just go into that again. If you don't like anything, by the way, just Control Z, Command Z, and it'll go back a space. And then you just go in and you put on the new filter, which I think works a little bit better. I think that definitely helps it stand out a bit more. So we're now going to go in and get the overlay that we have. Extend that to the side of the page. And then you're going to change your mode linear burn. You're going to change your opacity down so it's a bit lower so you can see the design clearly through. We're then copying that overlay and dragging that to the bottom of your screen, which we're then going to move on to sort of creating the watermark for this design, which is quite simple. You just create a clipping mask. Next to that, you click Control I or Command I on that layer to make, and it should get rid of your image like that. You then want to download this watermark pack that I will leave in the Google Drive in the description below. It gives you 20 free watermarks to pick from. You can go through, see which ones you like. Some work better than others. For some reason, while I was doing this, it wasn't showing me a preview, but don't know why that was. But then we're swapping to the white, and then we're just sort of clicking in and around the trophy to bring out the trophy. And as you can see, the watermark effect that we're getting is really realistic looking. I feel like there's opportunities for some really good artwork to be created using this sort of watermark idea. I didn't make the idea, but I am just sort of giving you basically it's two tutorials in one. It's the watermark, which just showing you sort of how you get to this position, and then we're going to move on to obviously taking it that step further. But as you can see here, I was just on the copy that we made and dragged underneath, and that's where you want to put on your colors. So you want to be taking the same sort of colors you used in your design. So obviously I use black, red and yellow, and we're just sort of dabbing it on here. You can see the yellow sort of peeking through on around the watermark. It just adds a bit more color to it, makes it a bit less boring and less sort of like it's, I guess, a mess. So as you can see, that was quite a basic thing, but gives a really good impact. We're then dragging in our light textures. So that previous thing was how you did the watermark. We're now taking it a step further by adding in the light stuff. So the first one here, we're putting in this top corner, extending it to the sides just like that, so it goes over the trophy. Position that how we want it, about there's okay. And then we're going to drag in the second light, this one here. And we're just going to change the blend mode to screen. There we go. Oh, there we go. Extend that and just sort of put it on where you would like it. I'm just going to put it here for now. You then want to create a clipping mask on that and rub out the sharp corners, because some lights, if you're getting your own sort of lens flares, sometimes when you screen them, they have this like obvious box around them. But you literally just make a clipping mask, select your brush tool, put your opacity on like 60%, make sure that the hardness is all the way down, and then you just rub around the edge and it blends it in really nicely. Gives it like a realistic sort of glare, which is really useful to know if you guys are using your own lighting for your own designs. We're then just selecting all those and we're smart objecting those just like that. We're then getting a brightness and contrast layer and just copy what I have here. Obviously with all images it won't be the same. Some are darker, some are lighter. Just play around with your brightness and contrast unless you're using this exact image in the exact same format, because even if you were to go and put like a French flag over the top, the brightness and contrast will not be the same. So we then just smart objected that and we're going into filter gallery. Now this is where you want to play around with your three sort of main things, which is your reticulation, your halftone and your, I've forgotten the other one, articulation, halftone, and grain. That's the one. And just sort of play around with the contrast. I ended up coming away with a really clean design, as you guys can see here. If you guys don't end up with this, I'll leave the black and white version in the Google Drive link so you guys can skip to that point and you will still get the outcome that we're going for. But if you're using your own design, you shouldn't have too much of an issue with that. As you can see here, we were just adding in a gradient. We were going for the German gradient again. No, it's not the German gradient, forgive me. It is a blue to pink gradient. So we're just inputting the different colors here for the blue and the pink. Just like this. It doesn't have to be blue to pink, blue to green works as well, but blue to pink is just nicer. We're then reversing it, and well, we are going to reverse it in just 2 seconds. Put it back into that. Change the angle so it's up in that top corner, like that. Perfect. And now, yeah, just reverse that so the blue's in that top. So you're then going to change your blend mode. Just go through here. I believe saturation is the one you want to be on. Now I really like the design like this. You guys could run with this. I actually really like it like this, but I went that step further and sort of added in the German colors over the top. But looking back, I actually really like the pearlescent sort of effect that it gives off. So it is an alternate option to go with. It looks super duper clean. So we're now just going to add in all the different text. So if you want to copy the same sort of fonts we use here, we got Alphan, where we're typing in Euro 2024. We also type Germany in that color. And then we just sort of put these little rectangles either side just to sort of center it better. And just like this, put a rectangle on one side and a rectangle on the other side. It just sort of makes it look more modern and cleaner if it has these lines and everything's perfectly sort of central. And then you also want to type something like, you want to be thinking of different sort of questions, like who will be the victor, who will take home victory, anything like that works well with this. And you also want to take this sort of thin font here, and you can type like Euros 2024, France, Germany, Portugal, any country if you're designing it around a specific country. I found that this sort of thin font, I use it a lot in my designs just because I really like the fact that it doesn't take up a lot of room, fills a lot of space. Just gives your design the edge when you have sort of a lot of complex assets that are visible but not super sort of in your face, because people can appreciate the fact that they're there. They don't have to be in your face for people to notice them. And then I'm just scrolling through all the different options here. Now the effect I'm going for is this one here, which I believe is what we get off the difference. We're just making them all difference, just like this. Go back into that one, make that one difference as well. There we go. And then we're just adding in the text back again, dragging that to the top, just like that. And then the fonts that I love using for my other text is a font called Bebas Nue, I believe it is. You can get it on DeFont, you can get it on most font places, and you want to, if you are getting it, make sure to download the bold or regular version as well as the book version, because the book version makes things like super thin, but the bold version makes things obviously thicker and bolder, hence the name. But as you can see, if you make sort of only the words that you want to pop out with the bold and the rest book, it just again makes it look a hell of a lot more modern, and in my opinion, more eye-catching, cooler, takes up less space. There's so many pros to using this little trick. If you're a graphic designer in real life, it also is really good for designs in real life if you're doing poster designs and you need that sort of extra bit of space and you don't know how to sort of put everything on one line. That is the best way I can recommend doing it. And now we're just adding in the German gradient again, and just sort of positioning that, reversing that, maybe adding in a little bit more black, just like that. Okay, and change your blend mode here. Just browse through. We picked a color for this, worked quite well, and then we just decrease the opacity down just so it's noticeable but not super in your face, just like this. And then the last thing that we're going to do here is, if you're doing this around obviously a country, having their flag on there is just a really good way of, I guess, diverting the eyes or like framing it in a way. I just really like the way that these flags looked. They sort of added a different element to it, made it much more eye-catching, much more sort of central. So I do recommend you add you add the team flag. But that is pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope everyone enjoyed very much, and I will see everyone in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. We do videos every single Saturday, and without further ado, have a good rest of your day.